Hello everybody, and welcome to the boss battles of Wraeclast. This series will be a somewhat comprehensive guide to the various bosses of Path of Exile 2. Now, there's a few things I want to make you aware of before we get started. The build I'm using for this guide series is going to be a very tanky warrior, probably going to be highly defensive, and I'm not going to melt every single boss in a matter of seconds. The whole point of this guide is to kind of showcase the various mechanics and abilities that the bosses have, and also try and show you a few different ways you can avoid those mechanics, or a few different ways you can deal with them, stuff like that. The majority of these guides will be recorded in normal mode, because I, again, understand that when you hit Cruel for most builds on Path of Exile 2, and for normal Path of Exile, most of your builds are going to start melting things in a matter of seconds. So yeah, this is all about showcasing the bosses, rather than just melting them very quickly. So yeah, it's just for those, this guide is more for players who are quite new to the game, or if you're struggling on a particular boss or his mechanics, or their mechanics, then that's what this guide is for. And in today's episode, we are going to start off with the very first boss in Path of Exile 2, the Bloated Miller. Now, a lot of you have probably walked through this boss very easily. It's the very first boss, they're not exactly going to make it exceedingly difficult, but there are a few mechanics in there that can be a bit overwhelming for newer players, so I will showcase those abilities for you here. So, without further ado, let's go to this first boss, the Bloated Miller. Okay, so here we are at the very first boss. This is the Bloated Miller. You'll encounter this guy right at the end of your starting beach. Now, his main ability you want to dodge is that one right there, and he also has a charge attack, but he does do a big ground slam attack which will fire out a big line in front of him, as you can see right there. Now, with that attack, you'll notice that he glows bright red right before he does it. That means that this attack is unblockable. You cannot stand there raising your shield and block it. I tried to dodge roll through it there, and that didn't work either. Best thing about that ability to do is to just kind of give him a very wide berth. When you see him flash red, start running to the side, and then dodge roll right before he slams his weapon down, and you'll manage to avoid that ability completely. His other two main abilities are a charge attack. Doesn't really do that much damage. I would still dodge roll out of the way if you see it coming, but if he does catch you with it, it's more likely to push you around rather than just do much damage to you, so yeah, it's not that difficult. And his third main ability is a summon ability, where he will do a big shout and then call up a big circle of zombies in an area around him. Now that ability is mainly for the player to recharge some flask charges. As you can see there, they're all kind of crawling up out of the ground right before he does his slam attack. Try and kill off any of the adds as quickly as possible. They will recharge your flasks, so that is quite useful to do. I always look for boss fights that have summons in them so that you can take down the adds and start recharging your flasks if the boss is being a bit too difficult. Now, with this guy, he also does his variety of different weapon attacks. I think for the first 50% of his health bar, he will just swipe at you with his hand when he's not using his abilities, but then when he hits about 50% health-ish, he will start swinging his big sword around like that. Is it a sword, or is it a saw? One of the two. But other than that, he's a very easy boss to take down. And there we go, that's the Bloated Miller sorted. You can pick up your loot and head into Clearfell, the encampment for Act 1.